Okay, you know what this reminds me of?
Like,
you know when you get those things and it's like you're find out your stripper name.
Oh yes, no,
and it's like you pick the letter and the letter, and I did.
Or it's like, okay, I think what's supposed to be is like first pet you had and first street you lived on.
Yeah.
Do you know yours?
12 RBF Pine Court. Well, that's first street I remember.
Yeah, but I mean, like, what was your pet's first name?
12 RBF.
Your first pet's name was 12 RBF?
It was Michelle and I had a fish, a beta.
Oh.
And one fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish.
Oh.
We had to, so we called it 12 RBF.
I thought that was like your street name.
No,
like
Pine Court.
West Pine Court.
Yes. 3 Pine Court.
Mine was Corky Willamette. Hi, this is Caitlin.
And this is Sharon.
And welcome to Real Housewives on Real Housewives, where we unravel housewives' story threads and keep the tea flowing.
So chic.
Hang on to your reading glasses.
This is episode number 6, where we are digging into Erika Jayne's book, Pretty Mess, from Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, season 12.
So this is we were trying to decide if it's an autobiography or a biography or a memoir. We're not sure the difference, but it's an autobiography. Let's go with that. And it was first published in March of 2018. Like I said, first published. Like, I don't know what
there have been many editions of this book.
There will have to probably be a second at least.
I think there'll need to be an addendum because a lot's changed. So
we could just glue in a few more chapters.
Yeah.
All right. So this is our first book club episode. We just thought it would be really fun to dig into the books of some of the housewives. I was going to say characters, but like people on the show. I don't always know how to refer to them because in my mind sometimes it's like a TV show, and I
think it's okay to say
characters, but I know they are real human beings with real lives and real books. So what we're going to do is go through a list of questions, and we're both going to answer them with each other, just kind of like you would in a book club. My aunt has had like this book club for like a million years, like not a million, she's not that old, but she and her friends like get together every couple months and they do like a whole tablescape that like matches the book, and they do these questions. It's like, I've always been like really jealous of that. Like that would be so cool. So this is like our virtual book club, just like that. And all of you are joining us, and it doesn't matter if you've read the book or not. We're just going to give you our opinions and
just talk about the person.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as you know the person.
Absolutely. And I think it's like you can decide whether you want to read the book.
Yes.
Like we're not going to give away everything.
But
all the good
there's
parts.
really nothing to give away. I mean, well, it's their life. You already know, kind of.
It is. Well, and I think some book, that's kind of an interesting point. Like who is more well known before the book versus after the book, whether it like shed new light on the person for you. So our first question is, what is the best part? What did you like about this book? I'm calling this the hot tea. Okay.
So my favorite part of this was hearing about her life with Tom before she became Erika Jayne. So she kind of had this period where she was just more like wife, helping Tom with his work, helping get him dressed, look good.
She was a real housewife.
Yeah, she was. And I guess I kind of wonder, does that mean she didn't have all those assistants at that time?
That's interesting.
Did she probably didn't have all that glam squad at that time. What was her life like? Yeah. She would talk about eating dinner with influential politicians, etc.
Yeah.
I guess
her son was younger too, so she was really being a mom at that point of her life too.
I just wanted to hear more details about that.
I totally agree.
Because I thought it was really interesting.
Yeah. Oh, and I was thinking we will have these questions up on our website, and our plan is to use the same ones for each book, like because we're going to do Garcelle next week. So we will follow the same questions. So in the future, if we're reading a book, you'll know what questions we're going to look through. I liked the writing the best, and that was a huge surprise for me. It was written by an expert on Real Housewives, Brian Moylan. I guess he writes recaps of Housewives for Vulture. And she went to him after reading his things and liking it and said, would you write this with me? And I think that was crucial to her book. It's well written.
It is.
It's enjoyable.
It is. It's very well written.
I'm surprised by that. I was surprised by that.
No, it's a really good read. I enjoyed it a lot.
Read. Yeah. I mean, I was amazed. He actually will go on to write The Housewives, the real story behind the Real Housewives, which was published in 2021. So I think we need to read that at some point too, since we know we like his writing.
I think I have that one. I just haven't read it.
I think I do too. Per the content, I really liked her childhood and her relationship with her mother. I thought that was interesting. Like she called her mom Renee. Like she said, not out of disrespect, but because she saw them as peers. And it's like you have to think that like one line shaped, just thinking that way, shaped her whole childhood. And like the whole way she viewed the world, the whole way she viewed everything. Like that's just, I can't imagine the pressure of having to think of your mom as a peer the whole time. Like, that's stressful in a way.
Kind of a mean peer.
Yeah. That's true. Like a junior high school peer.
Yeah, this must be like Mean Girls or something.
I was also really impressed that she's always wanted to be a star, and she really put in the work for it too. Like, I felt like you could really tell that she put in the time.
Yeah. I wasn't aware of the fact that she had, I figured that she had done dance and stuff like that. But then the fact that she went to this performing arts high school, and then she, went on auditions and she traveled to Europe as in high school. So I didn't know that she was as trained as she was. And then when she talked about her beginning years of Erika Jayne, I liked how she talked about all the different places they had to play. Like, some of them were really crappy. And basically she was sharing that she did pay her dues being Erika Jayne. Even though she had money going in, she still had to play not great places.
Like she said, I know I benefited from having like the dollars behind me. But at the same time, it's not like Tom bought her into like these amazing high venues from the get-go.
Yeah, like if the show wasn't fun, they're still not going to book her.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
All right, so what is the worst part? What didn't we like about the book? We're calling this the iced tea. I think I'm going to kind of piggyback on what you said for the best part. I think she was too guarded about Tom. Like she told us stuff, but it was pretty safe stuff. Like I felt like it was nothing that would make him annoyed or mad. I kind of bet it was approved with him. I felt like it was the happy stuff. Even when she kind of said, oh, he did this, but when you do it in a way where you're like, this is this funny thing my spouse does and it's annoying, but you can tell it's endearing. That's what she shared with us. But when you think about where she's going to end up, like in this season and the previous season with their marriage falling apart, I just felt like you're only showing us the happy stuff. There had to be some things that weren't all like flowers and roses. And I don't feel like she showed us any of that. It was just like, Tom was great. Tom was everything. Tom inspired me. Tom was wonderful.
Yeah, almost like she's scared to upset him because her mother, she shared a lot about
her family.
A lot about her mom and how, she kind of gave her a bad look at times, even though she does love her. And
her dad and her stepdad even. She like went into real details that I think would cause a parent to be like, whoa, I didn't know you were going to share all that. But she did not do that with Tom. So I felt like to go from that to not sharing it with Tom, that was an interesting choice.
Yeah, and it was very much like she was afraid of what he might say. And I thought it was so awkward to read just in light of recent history. Yeah. It was just crazy, cringy, certain quotes. Yeah. And I noticed she always talked about him in the book like he was better than her. Yes, like, that's a good It's point. Hard to explain because she did this thing where I'm this independent woman and I did this Erika Jayne thing to be strong. As regards to Tom. But when she was with Tom, she always kind of had this tone where she was putting him on a pedestal.
Absolutely. That's absolutely
everything is so like, he's a great lawyer. He's so smart. He's so this. She references how charming he is. Like the janitors love him. The cocktail waitresses, like anywhere you go, everyone loves him.
He was the first lawyer to get like a $1 million settlement. I don't know if it was just in the state of California or where, but I thought that was kind of interesting.
But there was this funny line in the book. They used to like to ride in the car and listen to these mystery, like, I don't know, these radio mystery stories. And there's this quote that said, we'd ride silently in the car, holding hands, trying to figure out who the killer or thief was.
We're not going to talk about it.
I was like, oh, if only you'd know.
Have you ever seen, I think it's like Best in Show.
I love Best in Show.
They're talking and she's like, we could just talk or not talk all day. We just love talking or not talking. And David and I always joke about that. Like when we're just sitting there and not saying anything. We're like, we could just not talk all day. That's what it reminded me. I don't know. Also, that feels like it shows the age gap because, like, do you have a story with Thomas? Like, we were listening to an old radio program.
Like she said it, and then, but I was like, when did she listen to these?
They're probably like tapes.
But that is probably like an early podcast.
Probably.
That's probably going to come back.
True crime.
Early true crime stories or something. It's probably just a book on tape. But she made it sound like something, but like in the 50s where you sit around the radio.
Also, it feels like a Tom controlling thing that they sat silently and held hands. I mean, is that just me? Because, like, when you watch a show with your spouse, one of you usually has to go stop talking and trying to listen. Exactly. Because you get
usually your husband
and there's somebody else there and you want to tell them stuff. Like, I can't picture she was like, cool, we're just not going to talk. Like, let's hold hands.
Although maybe. You're kind of done with your spouse.
Yeah, I guess maybe she's like, please stop talking. Like maybe he's a lawyer and he's just like, my voice hurts. I can't. Was there anything different you had for a worst part of the book?
No, but I just think it's interesting that we both had the Tom parts.
That's funny. Yeah. I think we just both felt like we left us wanting more.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to finish this book? Did you have to force yourself to read it, or could you not put it down?
So I read this book really quickly over 2 days.
Same.
I enjoyed it. I kind of ignored my kids a little bit to read it. So yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Same. No, I think it took me about 2 days. And I thought, as for like that it had a ghostwriter, I could still really hear her voice as I read it.
Yes.
Like as I read it, I heard Erika Jayne in my ear. And I think that makes a big difference whether you relate to a book or not. Yes. And I thought that was interesting because we know he probably took her interviews, but he did a good job preserving her voice. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really impressive. Like kudos to Brian Moyle. Were there any parts of the book that you thought were incredibly unique, out of place, thought-provoking, or disturbing?
Yes. Where should I start? Should I start with disturbing or thought-provoking?
Pick wherever you feel.
Okay.
The higher the low.
Disturbing, how her mom treated her.
Yeah.
Like, especially like humiliating her in front of people, saying cruel things. And then it's interesting how she recognizes later that she's learned to say cruel things to people and she has to work on not doing that. So that was my disturbing.
Yes.
Do you have any disturbing?
Too, I actually agree with you. I kind of wrote childhood stuff because I think when the way she wrote it, it felt like she thought that was kind of normal for a lot of her life, which I think kids do. Like they say kids always protect their families at all costs. And it made me feel sad for her because I felt like she felt like that's kind of what a normal mom would be, at least at first. Then she realized, oh wait, I call her by her name, which again also felt like creating space. Like this lady's mean to me. A mom wouldn't be mean to me. A Renee would. Yeah. Like, that's sad.
It is. It's really sad. It did. It depressed me when I read it.
Mm-hmm. What about thought-provoking?
Thought-provoking. So I have like 10 quotes on this. Yeah. She makes herself out to be more than a know-nothing wife. Mm-hmm. She shares, Tom always asks her opinion. She learns about the law and she learns about things because she's with Tom, who's so smart, and he teaches her. Yeah. She makes herself sound somewhat business savvy. Mm-hmm. She does not make it sound like I have no idea what's going on.
That's interesting. Because later she kind of makes it sound
right. Because like later on, and when after all the stuff goes down, she makes it sound like she had no control over anything. Yeah. And another thing I noted on page 3, she was talking about whatever. She said, "Always putting my money right back into the business, a tactic I still employ." To me, that made me feel like you do pay attention to the business side a little bit.
Yeah. That's interesting. I know sometimes I feel like she might have done a better job to say, I just assumed what Tom's paycheck brought in was completely legit. Mm-hmm. Like I was aware that his money was going to me, but I assumed it was legitimately earned. Like I guess I wouldn't question that David's paycheck coming in. Yeah. I know what comes in, but I guess I wouldn't assume that it wasn't gotten in a like law-abiding way. And I feel like maybe had she said that, it would make more sense. Instead, she kind of played, it's almost like in the beginning, like when you see pictures of her, it's sort of like Stepford wife. And then she's like, I was not a Stepford wife. Like I was above that. And then it's like later she's like, I was a Stepford wife. Like, yes. Well, which are you? That is a little confusing. Yeah, that's interesting.
I do like the fact that there's this part where she says, like, oh, the haters are going to say you just spend your husband's money. Mm-hmm. And she said, no, that's my money too. Yeah. It's on my tax, because the IRS says it is. My name's on that tax return, which later, that was good. Yeah. However, I like the fact that she said that because I get really annoyed when it's like, spending her husband's money. It's like, no, you're married. It's both your money.
I catch myself saying it sometimes, and it is not fair. Like what we do is work. Like it is a lot of work. It's 24/7 work. And it's not fair to say, like, we're married, it's our money.
Yeah. And I guess I don't understand. I could never function in a relationship where that wasn't my money too. So I was really glad that she stood up for herself in that way, even though sometimes she seems like she doesn't with Tom. I don't know.
Yeah. It's interesting to, I guess, when she does and when she doesn't. I can't figure out the pattern with that. For thought-provoking, I wrote that I really liked her explanation of why she's afraid to lose her temper. Because you can see her holding it in at times. Like, she gets that kind of face tightness that she almost has, like when you can tell like she kind of really wants to lose it. And she like explained that she has her mom's ability to say hurtful things and that she learned to use that back against her mom. And I liked it when she said about losing her temper on the show, she said, if I ever did, I'm afraid I would really eviscerate someone. And I thought it's interesting because we've kind of seen her hold back, and then boy, when she does lose it, she does. Yeah. Like she really does step outside of the box. But you can tell she's trying very, very hard to keep it in check. And I think we think of that kind of as coldness. And I kind of wondered if in all those fights where we kind of went back and forth and we did the drama of what she said about, you know, the earrings and about the case, I almost felt like maybe we're reading her wrong. Maybe she isn't being cold and cruel. Like maybe she's just really trying to hold back that part of her that she is scared to let out in front of the cameras. And so then she got drunk and let it out. But it's like, is she cold or is she holding it back?
Could be both, because couldn't you be like, I know I'm a cold, so
Yeah.
I'm going to hold it back, but then it comes out. I don't know.
And I mean, when you think about it, if you think about her childhood, like I do think that being cold is also a coping strategy.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
I mean, it's like that saying, I don't care. Like I know I did that, like, because we both grew up like changing schools a lot, and I'd be like, oh, I don't care. You totally cared. It's like, you care about friends, you care about all of that, but there's part of this like coping strategy that's like, I'm cool with whatever, like I'm totally chill. And I think she kind of keeps that coldness as a way of protecting herself too.
I agree.
What is the best new thing that you learned?
We already touched on this, but I said it basically her actual training and dance and stuff.
I had 3 things apparently. I got really excited for this one. Okay, her middle name is Nay, like because her mom is Renee.
I just blocked that.
So it's Nay, and she kind of said like Nene, like that's awful.
It is.
That's not an okay middle name. Like she said her first name was after Erika Kane from All My Children, and I loved that because my parents watched that like when they were like when my dad was in dental school and like my mom was a teacher, and so like when they first got together, that was like their show. So I was like, oh, I know who Erika Kane is. Like I felt proud of myself. But also, and I use this as my like fun fact of the day today, but like she played the first person to ever die in an episode of Law and Order.
Oh yes, I saw that and I got really excited because I love Law and Order. Well, the old I don't like any of the new stuff.
There's too many new ones. Yeah. But yeah. But I thought, well, that's kind of like, that is cool. A very, like, not everybody can say that. Also, I thought it was weird how they picked her name. Like, I thought that her name was like Erika Jayne, whatever her maiden name is. I like how I don't know. We read her book. I can't remember what her maiden name is.
I don't think she mentions it. Oh, she might.
Smith. Erika Jayne Smith, I thought it was. And it's not Smith, just to be clear. But I thought they picked it because it was related to her. And she basically said they just sort of tossed that name on her. And they were like, it's the only thing that goes with Erika. And at first she was like, I'm not sure I like that. And then she's like, well, I like Jayne Mansfield, the actress. But I thought that was so weird. She'd been so calculating and thought out about the rest of her image that she just went along with the name.
Well, maybe she was thinking Erika Kane, Erika Jayne. Oh, I don't know.
I think that's brilliant. Okay. I think that's the answer. Very good.
You're welcome.
I should have asked you before. I wouldn't have stayed up nights trying to think about this. All right. Do you have any lingering questions after finishing the book? I said not a question, but she had said that Tom told her not to buy jewelry for yourself. Like, that's my privilege, no matter how big, no matter how small. So she probably never saw her giant earrings as like anything she had to return. I think she thought of all jewelry as a gift. Not saying like, I don't know what that means but it's interesting.
That is kind of interesting.
I don't know. It's just like jewelry was the big thing we're fighting over. She was really like, I don't know. I felt like the jewelry maybe meant more to her than some things, if you think about it. I'm not trying to excuse her, but I am just saying it's interesting.
How do you feel about that if your husband said...
from like a feminist perspective, boo, I don't like that.
Yeah, I guess the fact that he actually really didn't want her to buy jewelry. I mean, I think it's one thing if he's joking, like, oh, let me buy you jewelry. But that would really irritate me. I feel like
in a sweet way you could say, I love buying you jewelry. Like, you know, that'll probably be my gifts to you. But like, if I'm at the store and I want to buy a necklace, I'm going to buy the necklace.
Exactly.
Like, I didn't like that.
Or if I want you to buy it, I will send you a picture.
Exactly. I'll put it on my Christmas list.
Yes.
Like we tell our children at the store, no, you can't have the Paw Patrol, but we'll put it on, let me take a picture. We'll put it on the Christmas list. I felt like that was another little crack. I just feel like there's these little cracks in the facade of what's going on with Tom. I think he's more controlling than she portrays him to be.
I definitely got that vibe.
And I don't know, maybe we're reading into it, but the other thing I thought was interesting is she said, my home was a place where I recharge and escape. Like she went on and on about how important her home was to her. And then later when they sell it or she goes back by it, she's like, oh, it was just a house. It was just a place. And it's like, I think it bothered her more than she said. And I just thought it was interesting because I thought in the show, I was like, maybe it was just always Tom's house. Like, you know, you move into somebody else's house and you're like, well, that was never my house. Yeah. But she remodeled it.
And she did that whole little, she remodeled like a, what do you call it? Like not a church in it.
Yeah, it was almost
like a meditation room
shrine,
type.
But that doesn't seem like the right thing to say. But so I think it bothered her. So those two things were just interesting to me. What about you?
Here's what I wrote. No. Apparently they just answered everything. I don't know.
How honest do you think that the author was?
I thought she was very honest and very intimate, because I think you can be honest but still kind of surface level.
That's a great point.
She was honest and really, like, I felt like we were getting her real feelings about so much stuff.
I think that's true.
Like when she was saying how she feels about, like, I have to keep my, or she says, like, I cry because that's the only way I know how to vent my frustration. Like, that's an interesting thing about her and how she acts.
Yes. And she is very closed off on the show. Like, she's been someone who you've had to peel back the layers over the seasons more and more. So I do feel like when we got to her book, it was like, okay, here's a lot of the answers to why she is the way she is. I mean, I think she was guarded about Tom. I wanted more honesty about Tom. So my answer is kind of the same as yours. Like, I loved her honesty overall. Like, she was really honest about her childhood and her life growing up. I also loved how she painted her son as, like, the most important man in her life.
Yes.
Like, that got me. I was like, oh, because that's a moment where you're like, you really do see her not as Erika Jayne, the performer or the housewife. Like, you're like, she's somebody's mom. And in all this stuff, I think we kind of forget that. Like, and I love, she protects her son's privacy.
Yes.
I mean, like, we really don't see him. She talks about him, and I think that's why she doesn't come off as a mom. But for someone who's so in the public eye, she's protected that kid's privacy, and, like, bravo for that. Like, I think that's really cool. I also like that she was attracted to Tom because of, like, how he interacted with people. I liked when she said that. Oh. But then that made it even weirder later when you think about how he interacted.
Here's the quote. She said, it's on page 84. What I am attracted to are intelligent, aggressive, successful men.
There we go.
I actually highlighted that.
And that was like a moment, so I kind of put it in this honesty thing. Because yes, I think that is true. But I wonder at what point that kind of changed with Tom. Like, because I do feel like, when you think about the divorce, like
when she found out his success wasn't really success,
or based on honesty, or based on all these things. Like, she's painting him off to be this honest person who helps. I mean, Brockovich, all of that. And then, I wish we could have had a chapter on that. Like, so I'm not saying she wasn't honest about it. I guess that was almost an I want more.
Yeah.
Oh, the other thing was, do you think Tom really told her just to sign the contract without reading it, without him reading it?
That was bizarre to me. And then, well, actually, I kind of thought, like, what? But then I thought maybe he thinks he's such a good lawyer that it doesn't matter what she signs, he can get away with it.
They didn't have a prenup.
Yeah.
Because, and she said it on the show, the exact same thing almost. She was like, well, no one's going to out-argue Tom, and no matter what's... What?
I don't think he thinks if you sign a contract, it matters.
Does he not have a will? Because he's like, no matter what God says, I'm going to out-lawyer him.
He's going to out-lawyer everybody. And because it was something strange, like, you're getting more from them than they're from you.
So don't worry about it.
Yeah, I didn't really understand that, actually.
There's something weird in there. I mean, and also I feel like, do your job.
Yes, exactly.
It's like when something breaks on a computer and we call our husbands, and I know that that's not really their job because they're not like IT guys or computer security, but it's adjacent. And I feel like if anyone in the family is going to fix the broken computer, it's them. And it's like, if anyone's going to read the legal document, like my uncle and my cousin are both lawyers, and it's like, even though they're not related, like anytime if I've gotten a traffic ticket, I call them. Like, I know that is not their form of law. I don't care, but they are that part of the family. And it's like, this is your husband. Read the contract.
Yeah.
Like, again, it felt a little bit like, oh, this is just some woman thing. I'm sure it's fine. I don't know. And that felt weird to me.
It's like kind of like he felt like, how big could it be if it was hers?
Yes, exactly. That's exactly. I didn't like that.
I didn't like it either.
Okay. Did reading the book change your view of the author or the Housewives franchise? For me, no. I think Erika stayed true to Erika. I liked that Yolanda's the one who brought her in, though.
Yeah, I didn't remember that.
And, like, she gave advice to her to stay real and be responsible for everything you say. Like, I wouldn't have thought to say that to someone, but oh my gosh, like, I loved that she said, remember what you said, it's going to come back to haunt you, like, threefold. Like, that's not exactly what she said, but she's right. Like, good for Yolanda for, like, laying it out the way it needed to be laid out.
Yeah. I was kind of sad that it didn't really change how I thought about the franchise at all. I was sad that she didn't address the show much. I guess I would have wanted maybe a little more behind the scenes, interesting stuff. Yeah. She does mention that, they do spend so much time together. And the other thing I kind of realized about Erika, it made me like her more because I was super harsh on her in the last episode, and I still kind of am, but it made me like her more, and it made me see how she could get swept up in the Erika Jayne life. Like, I felt that. I felt how she could easily just get swept up in the glam and everything, and this is her new life, and it made sense. I don't know.
And it's almost like, some people you do go, oh, you just married into this, but like, she did pay her dues, and I mean, I get that marrying into it gave her the bump, but she did work hard before it, so you can also see where she was like, I've worked hard. I mean as much as this person, and this person also likes me, and they have the assets, and I want to see my dream through, and he wants me to see my dream through.
But he didn't have the assets.
But he didn't know, huh? And he was kind of borrowing.
And she kind of, I think she just stopped thinking about the money and the practicalities.
Yeah.
It just
swept away.
Just swept away. It just, once she stopped thinking, she just went along, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. What do you think is the most important takeaway from her story? Do you know why I read all these books?
Why?
I like the photos.
Me too.
It's not a takeaway, but oh my goodness. Like, my favorite part is to see the photos of them younger, them growing up, them with famous people, them with their husband. I live for those moments. I go through them like twice.
I agree.
That's my favorite part.
Yeah, I don't have any big takeaways other than I guess it softened me a little to her, but no, I mean, maybe don't write books about how awesome your husband is when he's not, but how is she supposed to know? I don't know. If you write something and your life changes later, it might be cringy to read it back. So
she wasn't there for the episode with the mediums, so she didn't know. Exactly. I loved the quote, like, how I love quotes. But like, I loved when she said, and I felt like, oh my gosh, I need to do this. But it was like, I had to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. You really have to live and breathe in those moments, because that's where the growth is. The growth isn't when things are good. It's when it's horrible and you stay in it. You improve when you're unsure and it's a struggle. We all have to look stupid and feel like bleep in order to evolve. I thought that was interesting. I also think it's interesting in light of what she's going to have to go through. Like, it'll, like, the next season, will she evolve? Mm-hmm. I'm kind of curious to see. Yeah. And I do like that idea of, like, you have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. I don't like being uncomfortable. Like, I think that's where anxiety comes in.
Yeah.
It's like, I feel like if I'm uncomfortable, I'm doing something wrong. So I just stop doing whatever I'm doing because I'm making myself uncomfortable. And it's like, that probably is the mindset of these people who, are these, like, dancers or theater people and go for it and make it, because you have to have that ability to live in that uncomfortableness. I don't think I have that. That's why I haven't hit it big yet. But come on, podcast! All right, why do you think the author chose this particular book title? Would you suggest a different one?
I think it's perfect. It's the name of all our other stuff. Yeah. Like, it was just, it's in the series of her pretty mess stuff. So
yeah, it's her brand.
Exactly.
Her line. Like, absolutely. And I like it because it's a little self-deprecating. And I think that's kind of Erika too. I feel like her second book, she has another hit called Roller Coaster, and I think that's what the next one should be called.
That is good.
Because now that she's had, like, that fall from everything with Tom, it's like she started out like low, and then high, and then we're on the lower part of the roller coaster. So
good one.
If you use that, I'd like a name drop in the book for our podcast. Okay, so overall, does Real Housewives on Real Housewives give this book a thumbs up or a thumbs down?
I would give it 2 thumbs up. I really enjoyed it.
I did too. It was well written. It was interesting. It was fun. Yeah, I think everyone who wants to read it should read it. It's fun. I mean, I think neither of us knew what to expect, and we really liked it. So
yeah,
it warms me up to Erika next season, I think, too.
I'm excited to see her next season now.
I am too. All right, cool. Thank you for joining our book club.
Thank you.
See you next week with Garcelle's book, Love Me As I Am. And also, if you want to see our questions, they will be on the website, which is www.rhonrh.com. And then also, if you guys want to follow us on Instagram, we need more followers on the gram. So I'm going to throw that out there.
We post every episode. We post
do.
a cute little
really
picture.
Odd photo. And
yeah.
I think you guys would enjoy it. You can hear the sounds of the chimes.
Yeah.
And watch them. That's kind of fun. So that is, the handle for that is RH_ON_RH. So that's our Instagram handle. So find us, and then you can talk to us and tell us things and give us ideas. And tell us what book you want to read next.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I like that.
Bye.
All right. Bye. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed our episode, please subscribe. And if you'd like to help support us, please share this podcast with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and a review. Thanks again, and remember to stay out of the shade.